And welcome back, everybody, to such what an auspicious day for the TV show podcast. We'll talk about all the great goings on in just a moment. I'm Jay Black, joined every week by the wonderful Rhea Hughes and the above average Angelo Cataldi. And we're going to just jump into this main topic. If you've been following along the podcast the last 2 weeks, and I don't know why you wouldn't be, but you can go back and listen if you're a new listener. I came on and talked about the greatness of a new movie called The Wild Robot. And then Rhea took her son to go see it, came back, backed me up. This is one of the best movies of the year. So emotional, so moving. And Angelo said, you know what? I'm doing it. I'm taking my grandkids. I'm going to go see it. And ladies and gentlemen, today we find out, does Angelo Cataldi have a heart? Angelo, what'd you think?
All right. First of all, I did not take my grandkids. My wife is quite a bit younger than me, but she's not grandkid age. I took my wife to see it so we would determine if it was good for kids who were 6, 4, and 2, our grandkids. I went to see it, and I regretted going to the film before it even started. All right.
You went in with a bad attitude.
All right, now understand, this is my cartoon episode because I got another cartoon later in the show. But I went to see it because you guys were so totally, oh my God, you were like, this is life changing. So I went there. Even before it came on, all of the previews were other cartoon movies, which made me really want to harm myself.
Before the marketing, Angelo, come on.
I went, oh my God, how good is this? This is going to be so different than all these other stupid animated films. And then it came on. And I will say this, I will give you guys props. It is beautifully done.
Yes.
It is art. It is it takes animation to another level of artistry. It's phenomenal.
Beautiful.
The acting in it, the voice acting in it, is spectacular. It is great. All of it is amazing. And through it all, I had two thoughts. One was, still, it's a friggin' cartoon. I don't want to see this. And secondly was, I'm really starting to not like Jay Black. I was thinking of you the whole time because you love everything. Every genre, every style, every actor, and it just got me to thinking, Jay Black is not a good critic because he's not negative. You gotta have another side. You gotta say that's awful. That Rhea and I made a living.
Angelo, but I'm not that way. I hate just as much as you. My hate meter is usually higher.
Right.
And I found this to be a beautiful story. You complain all the time that movies don't tell stories anymore.
Yes. It was a story. Gail actually attacked that part of it. All right. She said she loved the first hour. Yeah. And then she said, and they realized there wasn't enough action in it. So we had to have this big war with the robots. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I didn't like that either, by the way.
That was not necessary.
Yeah. They could have ended it after 70 minutes and I would have been happy.
Yeah.
They were afraid to just let it go without the big action junk near the end. It's just, it's a freaking cartoon. It's got all the elements of a little kid's movie. You're right. They're hoping to bring in adults, but no, I would not recommend it. Because it's a cartoon.
Angelo, there's no part of you, no small part of you that got a little dusty-eyed, little verklempt, little something.
I was the part where the guys, the little goose Gosling is leaving, right? Yeah. I'll just leave it at that. There was I monitored the crowd. It was a pretty full auditorium where I went. There were two people crying. A little girl who was openly sobbing, and me, because I knew at that point it was an hour and 42 minutes, I was never getting back. That's Rhea's line. I love to steal it from her.
Steal it from that. No, agree with you. And I said it to you. I said, I loved it. And there was absolutely no need for the war machine because
you're right.
it was stark. The beautifulness of this, just the movie without the story. All of a sudden, this horrible machine came in, and I was like, no. I just, to Gail like it, because Jay was right.
Gail,
as a mother, it really spoke to me.
Well, here's the thing. You're right. It has a lot to say about parenting.
Yes.
It has a great message about parenting, the good and the bad of being a parent. But it got the last half hour, it just went in a different direction, and you lost the impact of that message.
Yes, I agree.
You really did. But look, for kids, I would say, I don't know, I'm guessing this 10 to 16, 10 to 18 maybe would really like it.
Clark's 15 and he loved it. He and his buddy also 15. They loved it. Yeah.
Okay. So I'd say for that age range, it's good. If you're like me, a truly mature adult, you will not enjoy it. You will wish you hadn't gone.
You know what, Angelo? I'm like the wild robot. I've learned how to experience life and joy. Yeah. You're like one of the original robots who are still following their emotionless programming, just doing what they're supposed to do. Listen.
I suspected this, Jay, and that is why I hereby, at the beginning of this podcast today, issue Jay Black a challenge. Next week on this podcast, I want you to give us a list of 5 things about television that you hate.
Okay.
No mitigating circumstances.
David Zaslav.
It could be, all right.
Rhea,
don't help them. Rhea, you just help them. Stop that. You get to pick 5. It could even be a show. Mm-hmm. I want 5 elements that you think are horrible on TV right now with no disclaimers. You say it straight out. I want you to do that to start next week's show so a new and different Jay Black emerges from this cocoon of happiness you're in right now.
No, you know what? I'm going to do that. And I'm also going to hold my tongue right now because I was going to give you a reason why I'm so optimistic about media. I'm going to wait till next week. So that'll be a teaser for next week. I'll give you the 5, Angelo, but I'll also give you a really good reason why I like as much as I do. But I'll say this. The one thing I do love is when I can move off the topic of me getting yelled at and switch to something that doesn't upset anybody, which is last week, Angelo had a really good topic idea. And Rhea, I wanted to start by talking to you about this. We were talking about moments when a character veers off of, or a person veers off of the role that they're known for. Sacha Baron Cohen is in Disclaimer, playing a role that you would not expect. Kevin Hart is outside of his lane in Fight Night. We could going back, you get like Bill Murray finding a dramatic role in The Razor's Edge. When is a moment, we talk a lot about when they step out of their lane and fail. Who's a person that has stepped out of their lane in your mind and done well?
One I always think of, because I believe she won an Academy Award for it, was Charlize Theron when she starred in Monster. Sure. About the serial murderer, Aileen Wuornos or something like that. Yes. This is a woman who's a model, who's drop dead gorgeous, and she I know they use some prosthetics and obviously makeup, but she gained weight for it. She stepped out of it, blew my mind away with how amazing she was in that movie. So when you offered that topic up, I immediately went Charlize Theron.
And you know what, Rhea, she stayed so beautiful even under the prosthetics. I was like, I wouldn't mind being killed by that person. I'll take.
Yeah, no.
What about you?
It's a great one, Rhea. That's I'm going to give you 3 because, and they're all people who did comedy and then moved over to drama and killed it. Number 3, Adam Sandler in Uncut Gems.
Good one. Wow. Very good one. Yeah.
What a performance. And the movie itself is basically all in a jewelry store, and he was a con man. But it was not a comedic performance, and it was exceptional, right? Yeah. Second is obvious. The guy basically, prior to this role, acted on episodic sitcoms in his underpants. And I'm talking about Bryan Cranston when he was doing Malcolm in the Middle. Remember those stupid roles? And then he got Breaking Bad. And wow, especially as he became more evil, you had no idea the guy had that kind of acting range. And the number one for me, I did the same thing you did. I went to the Academy Awards.
Yeah.
Jamie Foxx was, he had the Jamie Foxx show. He was on a lot of sitcoms and stuff. And he did Ray.
Yeah.
He played Ray Charles. And I didn't even know he could sing that well.
And here's the thing about that. I watched a biography on Jamie Foxx. When he grew up, he was raised by his grandmother. Classically trained with piano starting at the age of 3. So when the Ray biopic came out, he let his people, and Ray was like, Jamie Foxx, he goes, he has to play for me. Go find it on the internet. You can find Jamie Foxx playing for Ray Charles. And Ray Charles is like, he's hearing it. He's going, this guy's amazing.
They were great. Jay, I want to ask you something. Jay, you've acted. We have not acted. You've been in some of these movies that you've done and that you've written. Could you play? You're a stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
Could you play a romantic lead?
Well, I mean, I believe I could act it, but would anybody want to? Would anybody look at me and go, I want to see that dude kiss a girl? Probably not. I honestly believe that comedians make good actors because the thing that you try to do when you act is forget that people are looking at you. Okay. When you're on set, you look around, there's like grips, like holding lights. There's like dudes, teamsters who don't care, just staring at you like, what's going on here? And you get so self-conscious that you lose the ability to like lose yourself. I think that comedians are good at this because we've spent so much time with people staring at us. We get pretty good at losing ourselves. I'll give you 2 quick ones that I thought of. First is a little one, just because I want to mention the movie. There's a movie called Steve Jobs, where I just lost his name because I was talking about something else. The guy
Ashton Kutcher?
No, the guy who smokes bongs all the time.
Matthew McConaughey?
Seth Rogen. Seth Rogen in Jobs.
So close, Rhea.
He plays the other Steve Wozniak, in a dramatic role, does a great job. That's an underrated movie more people should see. The other one is Tom Hanks. Because if you remember Tom Hanks, he was bosom buddies. He was Bachelor Party. He was a light comedic actor that could have disappeared into the ether, but instead he went from Turner and Hooch in '89, starring opposite a dog, to Philadelphia in 3 years. Right. Yeah. So that's a huge one for me.
Good.
Angelo, you and I are huge SNL guys. And I was a little interested in your thoughts about the amount of people that they have brought in to outsiders, guest stars, to do the political roles, because this is SNL's Super Bowl, right? Every 4 years, the presidential election comes along, everybody pays attention, but the regular cast is getting cut out. We had Alec Baldwin last week playing Brett Baer. You have Kamala being played by Maya Rudolph. You have Andy Samberg back. You have Dana Carvey back. You have Jim Gaffigan as Tim Walz. Do you like this or hate this?
I love it. First of all, what am I missing? Most of the cast members they have right now, there's like 2 stars, two really good big stars. Bowen Yang is one of them.
Huge. Love that guy.
The sexy woman, Heather or Heidi Gardner is another one. But these guys are Maya Rudolph is Kamala Harris. She's great at it. Right. Andy Samberg is back. He's playing Kamala's husband, right? Yes. Hilarious. Dana Carvey. We haven't seen Dana Carvey in 20 years. Yeah. And he's playing a derivative of the first George Bush. It's not far from that, but it's great. I want more. Bring back my old friend Chevy Chase. Have him do at least a spot on the Weekend Update. Yeah. I want to see, if not in the 50th year, when are you going to use the talent? This is an all-star season. Use that. The one that they've used so far, Jay, they have used brilliantly, and I want more of it.
I agree, but let me just push back just a little bit on that. Isn't the reason why there's maybe not as many big stars in SNL because they're getting elbowed out? Don't you make
Yeah.
a star by getting them on the air as much as possible? Like if you had given Kamala to maybe Ego, whose last name I can't pronounce, who I think is fantastic, the
Yeah.
tall black woman on the show, she could do Kamala.
Yeah.
So like,
Good.
wouldn't that
Here,
make her into a star? What do you think, Rhea?
here's what I'll tell you, because having worked with Angelo for almost 30 years, when the stakes are higher, you have to get the bigger names. It is what it is.
Right.
That's there's a reason they want Beyonce to sing at the Super Bowl. They want Taylor Swift. When you have this moment, those other people have to build up to those moments. They're building a resume. And Angelo knew that, when we're leading up to the Super Bowl and the Eagles are in it, I got to deliver for him. I mean, I got to deliver. I got Jake Tapper from CNN for one simple reason. His father was my son's pediatrician. I used my baby to get Jake Tapper. So I mean, you literally, like, he taught me that when the stakes are higher, you go bigger.
Yeah, and as much as I'm trying to push back a little bit, when Alec Baldwin showed up last week as Brett Baer, he was so good. He was
so good
on Saturday Night Live. And I'm looking forward to the last 2 weeks, not just because Saturday Night Live always gets better, but I think we all want this election to be over soon.
Oh, yes. Yes. Please.
Rhea, I want to talk to you because I shared a video with you guys. I came across it because my son is addicted to watching Howard Stern videos. So this pops up onto my YouTube feed. And Conan O'Brien was talking about the worst day of his life. Early on in his career, people don't remember this. I do because I was a TV nerd. He was getting hammered day in and day out for being the worst thing on TV. And he said he was doing an interview with Charlie Rose, and Charlie Rose read him the first time he heard it, Tom Shales' review of his show. And it was just a brutal takedown. And he said he went and he just laid under his desk for like an hour. And he brought up, he said, it was in those days a TV critic could make or break you. People would read Tom Shales and decide what to watch based on that. And it just got me thinking, do critics matter as much as they used to? And if they do, who's the critic that you listen to or don't listen to the most, Rhea?
So I had this doesn't have to do with TV or movies, but I had literally this situation a couple of weeks ago. Craig Laban is the Inquirer food writer. I love to read reviews. I love to read about new restaurants. I love to go out. I had a friends who invited us. I believe the name of the restaurant is Vita. New place, Italian, pretty much Italian, but other stuff. And literally 2 days before we're going to this restaurant, I see Craig Laban's reviewed it. I'm like, oh, cool. The meatballs taste like golf balls. I mean, it was not really good. And, he said, it's a new restaurant. They got to make. And so, like, I called my friend and I go, you have eaten here, correct? And they're like, they gave a bad review. We love the food. So we went. I will tell you, the meatballs were spectacular. They were so tender. I loved everything. It was but all I'm saying is, I actually considered not going because, like, I do read Craig Laban, and so I think he's a little harsh sometimes, but I actually thought about, so when I do my reviews, when I look at reviews for a show I want to watch, it's why I use Rotten Tomatoes so much. If there's such a massive disparity between critics and audience, and say the audience is a 90% and critics are 60, I'm going with the audience because I think sometimes critics set the bar so high that you can't possibly reach it, and it might be a show I enjoy.
Rhea, not this critic. This critic sets the bar very low.
Everybody
jumps over my bar. What do you say, Angelo? As a critic yourself.
In my bestseller, Loud, which here you go. Here,
you're lost.
I pointed out that my dream at the end of the time I was covering sports for the Inquirer was to become a TV critic. Yeah. And then I went to radio. And after about a year or two, I realized that what I was doing was very similar, that sports talk is the same role. We see a performance and we evaluate it. And we rip them or we love them. And what's fascinating about it is, in all those years that we did that, or I did that, the guy who most listened to the critics and had it affect them was Donovan McNabb.
Yeah.
Now, he didn't ever acknowledge that he was listening, but you knew he was because he always knew what was being said about him. And it's ironic because I may as well drop this little nugget of news in. I was approached last week by the people at Vice TV. They do a lot of series, the dark side of celebrity TV, the dark reality TV, the dark side of pro wrestling, which, by the way, is one of their best. And they're doing one on the dark side of sports feuds. And they want me to go on there as an expert on what a jackass McNabb was, right? And,
is this
the
whole
whole
feud?
That is, he shouldn't listen. Yeah. You should never listen. I'm right now, in this moment, Jay, I'm reading a autobiography by Al Pacino, right?
Oh, I hear that's wonderful.
And Al Pacino, it is great. And Al Pacino said early on, he got a horrible review. And he went, that's it, no more. And he said, and I never read another review, but I always knew what they were saying because someone would say something to me.
Of course.
Did you see what Clive Burns did or whatever that? And he's basically, if you are great at what you do, you don't need a critic to tell you you're not. You know you're good at it. He's wrong, you're right. And if you don't see it that way, and it in some way sabotages your career, it's on you. You got to develop a thicker skin and not let that stuff happen. And the fact, I mean, Tom Shales was the TV critic. My favorite was always David Bianculli, who I knew a little bit on a personal level. He was at the Inquirer and then the New York Daily News. Phenomenal writer. He's done a book on the Smothers Brothers that is sensational.
I read that book. It's a great book.
You did. All right. But let me just say, if Tom Shales was saying something about you, he was probably right. He was a great TV critic. Roger Ebert was a great movie critic. But you shouldn't let that noise affect you doing your job. You either know you can do it or not. Some critic's voice shouldn't affect you.
What I always tell young comics, and this has been my guiding principle, all a critic can ever tell you is that they don't think you're funny. They can't tell you existentially whether you're funny or not. They can only give you their opinion, so just move on. And they say, Jay, did you develop that personality because so many people told you that you weren't funny? And I said, please leave me alone, and I walk away. I'll tell you one person who's above criticism, though. That is our good friend, Steven Singer. Angelo, you know Steven Singer 30 years. Tell me about Steven Singer.
I have represented Steven for a quarter of a century. And this is impactful, what I'm about to tell you. Because I have represented a lot of companies, great companies in the years I did radio. In 25 years of representing the best jeweler on Jewelers Row and in all of America, I never received one complaint.
Oh, wow.
From anyone who went to Steven Singer. I never one time, and I did for car dealers, all the other people that I represented, I never got a single complaint from Steven. Because Steven's philosophy was, if you're coming into my store, you're going out happy, right? I'm making sure that by the time you make that purchase, or if you don't, that you had a positive experience. And you can't, Rhea, you've represented lots of companies too. It's very rare that there wasn't one outlier that went,
oh no. And like my rule, Angelo taught me this. Like my rule was I never represented a company unless I used them. I mean, it was just real basic, simple. I had to use that company. And to tell you the amount of people I've recommended, the coolest thing I got a text from a friend the other day that I had recommended him. We're going back 27 years ago to get his engagement ring from Steven Singer. He called and said, could you make a phone call for my son? Which I thought was really cool. So now we got it like that's, it's now generational. And I thought that was really cool. And like, I was always comfortable recommending Steven because I used him.
The Steven Singer is the jeweler that nobody ever complains about. The other corner of the walnut, go to IHateStevenSinger.com.
If you're looking for some jewelry, click right now. You can see, go to the description of this podcast. There's a little link. You can just click right now. Let's talk about the British. and
Yes.
how much we love them. Rhea Hughes, our British critic. What do you got for us this week?
So I had previously recommended the Pembrokeshire Murders, which was like a 4-episode miniseries on BritBox about a serial killer in Wales who operated in the 80s. They could never catch him. They eventually did because obviously advances in forensic medicine. So I'm flipping around over the weekend looking for something, and I see it's now they have a documentary on the
Oh,
like
wow.
the actual real people, and I went, oh, I'm in my wheelhouse. The detective who said, let me look at this case. This case has been languishing for 20 years. 4 people were killed, rapes, murders, robberies. Let me look at it. And they found like a treasure trove of forensics that they were able to get, but they had the detectives who worked on it. They had the forensic pathologist, although I will say I found her a little too happy talking about her subject material. Seemed a little odd, but she was really into it. The prosecutor, it's interesting. The prosecutor was so cool, Ange, because I saw the TV version of it where you're like, oh, this guy. He goes, I knew the police had him dead to rights. I knew the forensic, and he goes, and I knew he got this guy so good because you had a little bit of footage of it. He said, and then I have to leave it in the hands of 12 people.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's like the first time I ever heard a prosecutor actually say, we could have everybody, but it's only 45 minutes. It's really well done. And it does include pieces of the drama series, and you see how good that is. And at the end, they add a little something that wasn't in the original. So 45 minutes, you will enjoy it. I really liked it. One other thing, I just finished Slow Horses. Remains one of the best shows on TV on
So
Apple
good.
TV. I just finished the last episode of season 4 this weekend. Phenomenal.
Very
Yeah.
nice.
Gail actually came to me and she said, are we wrong about Slow Horses? All of her friends are telling her how much they love it. And I said, no,
Yes.
we're right. And all of them are wrong. All of them. 97% of the world is wrong about Slow Horses. It's not good. Rhea, what's the name of the documentary? Is it
It's called the Pembroke, PEM as in
Right.
Mary, Brokeshire Murders, Catching the Game Show Killer. A
Right.
game show factors into this. That's the crazy
Wow.
part of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
And Rhea, you don't have a team for us this week. You have something really interesting. I'm
I
very
do.
excited about
Angelo,
that.
you keep saying that not sitcoms, like, they're
Network.
continuing to episodic shows. I happened upon Matlock starring Kathy Bates
Yeah.
yesterday. I saw the first 2 episodes. She's a phenomenal actress. By the way, lost a ton of weight, looks great.
Yep.
She plays like a 70-something lawyer who decides to get back in the game after like 30 years. She worms her way into a high-powered law office to get hired. They pair with 2 young kids, really good. And you're like, okay, this kind of seems fun. She's got this folksy manner that disarms people. At the end of the first episode, you get punched in the face with the twist. So shocking. I went, no, I did one of those. Blew my mind. So
I'm
they
going to
hooked
watch it
me.
now.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, and you'll never see it
I
coming.
love a twist. See, you just got me. Where is it? Where?
So it's a lot of places. Paramount Plus, Apple, Amazon. I believe if you have the Amazon Prime subscription, you do not have to pay for it.
Okay. Okay, great.
And it's
That's
a CBS show,
I'm
right?
on.
Should get it on Paramount.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's a
I'm
CBS show.
definitely
Yeah.
on. Great.
All right. Now, if you guys go to our description of the podcast, there's a little button that says send us a text. And that text always gets to us. We don't always mention it on the air, but we always read it. And one of our viewers suggested something for Angela, because Angela said, give me something I wouldn't normally watch. And somebody suggested a TV show for them. So before we get to Angelo about this, I just want to say, if you have some questions or comments or concerns, we read all of them. So just click on that so we can hear from you. And sometimes it affects the content of the show. Like right now, Angelo, what did you watch this week?
Well, I learned something about myself this week by seeing The Wild Robot and by taking the cue of the person that contacted us and watching a TV show animated on Netflix, F is for Family. Now, what the person suggested that they did not know at the time is that I happen to be a huge fan of Bill Burr,
Great.
who was on our show a couple of times. He's a Boston guy. He's just a brilliant stand-up comic, one of the best. And the whiniest, bitchiest, most negative person you could find, which is in perfect sync with my thinking, right?
Outside of you.
So I watched F is for Family, and it was entertaining. It was the warning at the beginning, right? When they tell you what's coming up, it's got, a warning, violence, sex, bad language, illegal activities, all this stuff. And I'm going, wow, this might really be good. No, it's a cartoon. It wasn't good. But by the end of the second episode, I felt like I had seen everything they had to offer. There was just going to be more stupid behavior by kids and Bill Burr reacting to it. And it was a cartoon. A cartoon is not good entertainment for an adult.
It's only
no exceptions.
It's only been around for 100 years, Angelo. People love these things.
Exceptions. You've either outgrown cartoons or there's something wrong in your brain, Jay Black. That's
nothing wrong. This is a steel trap of a brain, Angelo Cataldi.
Real quick, just because I do want to give people something to watch that is phenomenal, and it's on Peacock, and it's a docuseries. I mentioned it briefly last week. It's called Anatomy of Lies, and it's the story of Elizabeth Finch, who was a writer for many years on Grey's Anatomy, one of their best writers. And the woman is maybe the worst example I've ever seen of a pathological liar.
Wow.
She lied, Rhea, for years about having cancer.
Oh, no. These people.
Rhea and I encountered one of these many years ago.
Oh, yes, we did.
He would announce it at social gatherings. By the way, I just found out I have terminal cancer. Oh, good. Let's continue on with the small
Jay, he's not lying. We were at a wedding. We were at Angelo's daughter's wedding. And he said, I said, oh, it's so nice to meet you. I have brain cancer.
Yeah.
And I went,
but
okay. He did, by the way. Just letting you know, he did.
I'm sure. Yeah. He didn't.
You should watch this.
Ding, 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 ding. I just want to make an announcement. I have cancer.
It's 3 episodes, and this woman, she actually, at the end, thought somehow she would still revive her career, even though so many, and she had been married to this woman, and there's no fury like a woman scorned. This woman does extensive interviews where she basically unmasks her former partner as the worst liar. I mean, kids were victimized. This is a tremendous story about what happened because this woman had to be the center of attention no matter what. It's great. Anatomy of Lies on Peacock. Check it out. You'll love it. I guarantee you'll love it.
And I always love watching these with my wife because then I could always go, well, you're mad at me. I didn't do this laundry. But look, I didn't lie about having cancer. I'm better than her. I just wanted to touch real fast. Angelo, you had mentioned High Potential, and I had watched it. And one of the things you said was that I don't know if it's going to last a season. I think you might be right. I checked in with the 3rd and 4th episode, and I still really, really like Caitlin Olsen.
Yeah.
But the show is kind of hitting a rut already, and that's not great.
No place to go with it. It's a great premise for one show, not for a whole series. Let me give you what we got so far today. If you would like to see The Wild Robot and check in with your point of view, it is in theaters now and on demand everywhere. You're going to have to pay $20 or $25 to get it.
$49, Angelo. I looked. I was going to watch it again.
Wow. Yeah. But just wait a week or two. It's a cartoon. You can wait. All right. Also, if you want to see Disclaimer, where Sacha Baron Cohen plays a really dramatic role, that is available on Apple Plus. Monster with Charlize Theron. Do we know where that is, Rhea? Where did you see what that is? Okay, because I think people should see that. Ray, the other one that we mentioned, Jamie Foxx, that is on Amazon and Hulu. Saturday Night Live is on NBC and Peacock. Watch its 50th season. The Dark Side series, which I may soon be contributing to, is on Vice TV. Rhea, we got one from
Yeah, it's on Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime. You can't go wrong. If you want to see the documentary on the Pembrokeshire murders, the catching the game show killer, it is on BritBox. Matlock. I'm going to see that right away. I can't wait for that. That's on Paramount Plus, Amazon Prime, and F is for Families on Netflix. And my pick of the week, Anatomy of Lies, is on Peacock.
Very great. Thank you, Angelo. You can also get Angelo's book. It's not Lost. It's Loud.
Loud. I almost said Lost.
Go to Amazon.com or Audible.com if you want to hear him read it to you. Also, be sure to check out our great sponsor, Steven Singer at IHateStevenSinger.com. Link is in the description. Also, while you're in the description, send us a text. We will read all of them. And as always, thank you so much for spreading the word about us. We grow each and every week thanks to you guys. And we'll be back next week with even more great TV content.